As the federal government shutdown continues, we're looking at how lack of funding will affect federal workers, food stamp recipients, and many more across Texas.
Jeremy Portnoy from OpenTheBooks.com joins us more to talk about this. Good morning, Jeremy.
Good morning, Allison and John Carlos.
Thanks for being with us. So how many federal workers in Texas are affected by this shutdown?
So our data is from the end of last year. It shows just under 131,000 federal employees in Texas, which is a lot. Outside of D.C., it's only California and Maryland with more employees than that. So the total Texas federal payroll is just under $12 billion, about $103,000 each on average. A big chunk of those workers are concentrated in Harris County and in Dallas County, about 15,000 workers each. There's very few counties in the country that have that many federal employees. Then for Austin and the rest of Travis County, there's just under 9,000 federal employees in total.
So, Jeremy, not all of those employees are out of work. Who's still being paid?
Right, so a third of the federal workers in Texas are from Veterans Affairs, which for the most part is still open. 97% of those employees are still getting paychecks, right? Hospitals are still open, benefits are still getting processed. There's also in the airports, almost 500 TSA employees, over 2,000 air traffic controllers and air safety specialists. They're essential workers. They're still working. They're not being paid. FBI employees are working without pay. Then the Department of Defense is a huge chunk of it, right? So they redact the locations of their workers. We don't know specifically how many are in Texas, but we do know that across the country, there's 183,000 civilian employees in the military that are getting paid through other funding sources besides these appropriations bills that are held up in Congress. There's also 224,000 of them that are working without pay. Then, of course, the last group is Congress members themselves, which they're still getting their paycheck.
Yeah, Texas officials say that food stamps could also be paused next month if the shutdown lasts past this Monday. With the Senate out today, that is highly likely. So how many people will be affected by that?
So the last month we have data for is this May. As of May, there was $614 million coming to Texas every month for food stamp benefits being distributed to 3.5 million people. Which again is a lot of people. That's more people than the smallest 23 states in the country combined. If you look specifically at the 37th district in Texas, so that includes most of Austin, 5% of the district relies on food stamps. Of that 5%, almost half of them have at least one child in the home. 35% of them have someone with a disability, and 34% of them have an elderly person in the house.
So, Jeremy, if the Department of Agriculture does stop its usual food stamp payments, are there options to keep the program going?
There are other options. There's not an easy solution, right? The USDA, the Agriculture Department, they do have a contingency fund for emergencies like this one that was refunded under Biden. They haven't committed to actually using it if food stamps do run out, but they could fund most of a month of food stamps. They have about $6 billion in this fund. Food stamps for the entire country for 1 month would cost almost $8 billion. The Department of Agriculture has also told states they can fund food stamps themselves if necessary, which for most states is not very realistic. In Texas, it is doable. There's about $25 billion in the state's rainy day fund. So if they were to pay for food stamps for a month, that $650 million for Texas would obviously be a high expense, but it's not like it would deplete the entire fund like it would in some other states. So those are options that will have to be on the table if things really do get to that point.
Yeah. Okay, we'll keep watching this as the shutdown continues. Thank you so much for chatting with us this morning, Jeremy.
Of course. Have a great weekend.
You too. You can find all of his reports at OpenTheBooks.com.